So, self-love continuing this week. Last week was about self-sabotage. That is not a good act of self-love. But if we're not aware that we are acting in, showing up in these ways, believing in these patterns and processes, we'll continue to self-sabotage ourselves, which is not an act of self-love, right? So we can be aware of those things, we can shift or change the script per se, or the way we are reacting, responding, showing up in life. So this week I want to talk about unlocking or unmasking self-deception, right? This, I believe, is not just going to increase your personal growth, your decision mastery, but also impact your leadership skills. So if you are a business owner or you work within the industry that serves other businesses, you'll want to stick around to the end. And so today we're talking about swapping out self-deception for what? Self-love. Self-deception for self-love. It's the best gift you could ever give yourself, and not just on Valentine's Day. And so when we can love ourselves fully, that's only when we can fully love and respect others. And this is how we're going to be intentional with these practices of awareness of self-deception and ending or limiting or unmasking them as much as we can every single day, right? Now, this is we a practice, because what will happen is you'll notice, wow, I'm either doing this a lot or others are doing this, and it's going to be challenging conversations that I like to call crucial conversations, right? So what is self-deception? Self-deception is believing other opinions, other beliefs, usually limiting beliefs, right? So the action or practice of allowing oneself to believe that a false or unvalidated feeling, idea, or solution is true. This is self-deception. Some people do this without even noticing that. This is why it's critical that we start noticing what we're noticing, right? There are many times people want my help, right? Whether it's in they're buying a house, or they need some help with decision mastery or breakthrough, but yet they aren't willing to break through some of the self-sabotage or deception, meaning that they're stuck or in a delusion of a mistaken belief. Or many times they can think that they are protecting themselves, right? Or they're saving a relationship by being in this state. And many times they don't even want to honor and release that part of them, right? They've nurtured that part of them for so long, that belief or that state for so long, they cannot see it's actually hurting their ability to level up or move forward into possibility and potentiality. So self-deception is one of the biggest blocks that nobody really talks about, because it's not, honestly, not a fun topic to talk about. And it's not fun uncovering where we are utilizing this self-deception to protect what? Most commonly our ego, right? And it's the trickiest because many times it lives in the you don't know what you don't know quadrant. Remember, we know what we know, we even know what we don't know. And yet there's this part that we don't know that we don't know, the blind spots that usually other experts or coaches can help us uncover. So what happens as we engage in self-deception? It's usually out of anxiety, a neediness, a desire. There's other powerful emotions here, but those are the most common that I see. And as humans, we have emotional attachments to many beliefs, some of which we have been irrational about, right? Our self-deception can serve as a coping mechanism for that strong feeling of shame or blame about our actions, our feelings, our habits. So we want to talk about today about how we can break some of these habits, right? How can we break some of these patterns and cycles, because they become a part of who you are. And that's probably the hardest part to accept, this is who I was and it's not who I want to be. And I'm putting enough time, effort, energy, and intention to changing that, right? So the book of 4 agreements, you hear me talk about this a lot. I love the 4 agreements. Go get it. If you haven't, I read it at least once a year because it's the values I live by, right? It's honoring your word, making no assumptions, taking nothing personally, and doing your best. It's the taking nothing personally part. By making no assumptions of others or yourself to mitigate either or party, right? And this one is by asking better questions, quality questions. They're not always easy, and they may require massive courage, but I promise you it's so worth it. So when you're thinking about, are you living out with your best intention and interest of not just your vision, but for others who are involved? Because when we're in our act of self-deception, many times it impacts others and we aren't even aware of that either. The biggest how to breaking these habits, these patterns of self-deception is through awareness. Awareness of the limits that self-deception and beliefs that are tied to, not only holding us back from our potential, but they're also holding us back from our unlimited possibilities. And many of which we desire and are feeling ourselves, whether we think we deserve it or not, right? And we simply don't have enough whatever to experience what we desire. So we might say, I don't deserve it because I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough blank, right? Whatever that blank is, you're giving all your power away. And in most cases, this is an act of self-deception. So believing something is true to gain the advantage. Believing something is true to gain an advantage is to lose the battle. How many times have you had self-deception and have been deceived or convinced by somebody else, and you either saw right through it or you didn't have the courage to stand up? Or maybe you were just simply blinded by it and it was like hindsight, a week later, a month later, year later, a decade later. So as you can see, self-deception can have a significant impact on both ourselves and those around us. And when we deceive ourselves, we create this distorted view of reality. But it is our reality. We believe it because we've made it to be true. And so often we try to avoid the uncomfortable truths to protect our ego. So there's 5 ways self-deception affects us and others. And I want to jump into that. And then I want to go over a book I've been recently reading that has been super impactful to not just me helping others uncover the self-deception components of how they're showing up in their patterns and beliefs and how they're living their life, but also in leadership positions, if you're running a business or hiring people or managing teams or consulting with other groups of individuals and you have that leadership role. So the first one I want to talk about is personal growth and how self-deception hinders that. Self-deception hinders the personal growth by preventing us from acknowledging our weaknesses, areas of improvement, or mistakes. It creates a false sense of security, and that can impede the self-awareness side and also hinder the learning process, the growth, the expansion that we ultimately desire, but we're blocking ourselves from. And also with those that are close to us, talking about other people involved, they may struggle to actually provide us with that constructive feedback or support because our personal development, when we're not open to it and acknowledging that and being open about that, and we aren't open to acknowledging some of our own shortcomings, other people might not have the courage or the confidence to do so as well. This also affects our interpersonal relationships, right? So self-deception can lead us to miscommunication, misunderstandings, strain the relationship. Communication and trust are the foundation of all relationships. So when you're having miscommunication, misunderstandings, you're not seeking to understand the other person before being understood through self-deception, then whoa, we have some major red flags and challenges that will evolve out of that, right? It may cause us to protect our distorted beliefs, these limiting beliefs onto others, leading to unnecessary conflict. And with other people around, it might feel a little frustrating to them. They might be confused. They might be hurt. They may perceive inconsistencies between our actions and our self-deceptive beliefs. Again, breaching that trust in the relationship, and it can actually erode over time. Decision-making consequences. This is one of my favorites, right? Self-deception can cloud judgment and lead to poor decision-making. When we are not honest with ourselves about our motives or capabilities, we may make choices that are not in our best interest or interest of others. People forget the other part. And that's because when we're in the box, we're only thinking of ourselves. We are the most selfish when we're inside this box. And I'm going to explain what that means here in a minute. Or we can make choices quickly and then change our mind because of this, the old version of us, the deceptive part, winning. We might have this new version that isn't self-deceiving, And yet we make that decision for the first time in that freedom of space of possibility and potentiality. And then the self-deception comes in and sabotages it, right? How many of you have experienced that? I've experienced it. I've witnessed it countless times over. And there are times when I can help and there are times when I can't. I cannot help people who aren't willing to be helped, right? And that is the hardest lesson for me to continue to learn every single day. Now, others may be affected by the consequences of our misguided decisions, especially if we're in a collaborative team or setting, right? If you work on a team or are in a family unit, this is a big thing to recognize and be aware of and start to pay attention and notice what you're noticing. Let's talk about the emotional toll this actually impacts heavily. Engaging in self-deception can lead to inner conflict, anxiety, emotional distress, suppressing uncomfortable truths, right? May result in a constant state of tension and lack of genuine self-connection. Being able to be grounded and feel safe in your own body. So many people are go, react. They never actually tune in and ask themselves, how do I feel? What would I want right here, right now? Oof. And then you think about the emotional toll of other people. Our emotional state can influence. Energy is contagious. So our emotional state is influencing the emotional well-being of those around us, those we engage with, those that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. If we project this negativity or inconsistency, it will immediately, if not, and over time, impact the emotional atmosphere of the relationship or the work environment. And this all goes back again to trust issues. Constant self-deception can erode self-trust. And if you don't have self-trust, you're not going to trust yourself in making good decisions. Don't trust yourself in making good decisions. You're going to live in a life that's either a lack mindset or also just saying this is the way it is, or blaming circumstances, situations, people, or yourself. So when we consistently deceive ourselves, we may struggle to even trust our own instincts, our intuition, our decision-making mechanisms that are there and we can define for the life that we design and love and deserve, but not when self-deception is driving the ship. And how this affects others may find it challenging to even trust us if they sense inconsistency between the words and the actions. And it will erode healthy relationships, and self-deception can also undermine those healthy relationships. So addressing self-deception involves cultivating self-awareness, embracing vulnerability. This is why I say this over and over. It takes courage, it takes clarity, it takes confidence to live this yes and life by design, to live from your vision, make decisions from your vision, release and honor the old parts of you that helped you get to where you are, but are no longer serving what you desire and you do deserve. And so when we can make informed decisions that positively impact both ourselves and those around us, this is where we create a win, 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 keeps going, win, win, win. It's the ripple effect. It's the pebble dropped in the pond. Now it works the other way too. The pebble dropped in the pond full of self-deception, lose, 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 right? The pebble dropped in the pond, freedom of that, win, 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 win. So because I work primarily with both business owners and I consult with companies that serve other businesses, I highly recommend the book, Leadership and Self-Deception. It doesn't get better than that. Leadership and Self-Deception by the Arbinger Institute. It's a transformative book that goes deep into the impact of self-deception on leadership, but simplifies it so that you can apply the interpersonal relationship components on a day-to-day basis. This is why I love the book. It gives you tools to integrate now, today, like not a year from now, not once you learn this and you understand it better, no, like right now, taking that messy, imperfect action. It's also presented from like a story form, making these very complex concepts very accessible. So the summary that I have on this is the book actually, revolves around the concept of being in the box. I said that earlier, or out of the box, referring to whether individuals see others as people or objects. In the coaching industry, do you see people as people or a transaction? In the real estate industry, do you see people as people or a transaction, right? And this can be built up over time, and it's not a right or wrong, good or bad. I mean, to be honest, there's some very successful people and they will say that's why they do so good, right? They leave the emotion out of it. I'm a numbers person, but I also see people as human, and I'm very empathetic. I used to think it was a weakness, but it's actually a superpower. Finally grown to look at it that way. I get to, right, feel other people are feeling. So again, we're either in this concept of in the box or out of the box, referring to whether individuals see others as people or as mere objects. So when leaders are in the box, they are deceiving themselves about their motives and actions. They're leading to a destructive pattern of behavior. And some of the key themes within this book is the box and self-deception. People are in the box when they harbor negative feelings or judgments about others, blinding themselves to the humanity of those around them. Self-deception occurs when individuals justify their harmful actions or attitudes, creating a distorted reality to maintain a positive self-image. So it's very selfish for this ego to justify why you're such a good person, but through the self-deception, it's not really the reality and the truth. It's limiting beliefs of making other people feel wrong or seeing them and viewing them and treating them as objects, which is a nasty, nasty way to be. And nobody, when they actually look back and dissect it, would say, yeah, that's how I really, truly intended to behave or show up or treat that person. How does this impact leadership? Leaders who are in the box of self-deception are ineffective, and they create a toxic work environment. They may blame others, resist feedback, fail to foster a culture of collaboration. And in this book, it emphasizes that the effective leadership begins with addressing one's self-deception and viewing others with empathy and understanding, seeking to understand before being understood. So in the book, they talk about breaking the cycle. Breaking free from self-deception involves a shift in what? Mindset. Moving from seeing others as obstacles to recognizing their humanity and value. And then it follows along the character's journey of self-discovery, illustrating the transformative powers of choosing to be out of the box, how to get outside the box, and when other people are all in the box and then you want to go back in your box, because that's just how it works. It's energy, it's attitude, it's contagious, right? So we go back to this ripple effect, the impact of one's mindset, one person, it just takes one to extend beyond the individual behavior to influence the team and the organizational culture. By breaking the cycle of self-deception, leaders can inspire positive change and create that culture of trust, collaboration, and accountability. So the big takeaways was the anatomy of self-deception, and the book explores the psychology of self-deception, offering insights into how individuals justify their harmful behaviors. This takes me back. I can go back and describe in detail situations that I am not proud of now knowing what I know about this. And I can go back and be like, wow, being very proud of myself for not knowing what I know about this, but still making a different decision and not taking on that self-deception. But I didn't even know I was doing that because I was living from my vision and I had my values in place, right? So this personal transformation illustrates that it's possible when individuals confront their self-deception, they can change to improve their leadership and their interpersonal skills. So leadership and self-deception, the book challenges leaders to examine their motives, break free from the self-deception, start to behave and engage outside of the box, cultivate a mindset that promotes genuine, authentic connection and collaboration. And the lessons from the book resonate not only with the professional settings, but you can all take it home to how you engage with your kids, emphasizing the universal relevance of the teachings with a spouse, with a partner, with a loved one, with a parent, with a sibling, with a neighbor. This is how we shift and change the world. This is how we bring more self-love, and we can't love others more than we can love ourselves, right? The capacity expands when we expand our self-love capacity first. It's like pouring from a cup that's overflowing. So today on Valentine's Day, I'm sending you off with this message of how can we start to cultivate this awareness of self-deception? How can we live outside the box? How can we go read the book, Leadership and Self-Deception, and start applying some of the tools, some of the methods today at home, in our businesses, every single day. It's the consistency that wins. It's the consistency that breaks down the old habits and builds the new. And if you're like, whoa, this was a lot of information, Jackie, I hear you, I see you, I honor you. I recommend going to my link in my bio on Instagram, and there's a link that will take you to the Power of the Reset journal prompts. I promise you these prompts will help crack open some of this to be like, how do I even know if I'm on track with living from my vision? How can I set juicier goals and actually experience them sooner? Power of the Reset journal prompts. Use them monthly. Minimally use them quarterly, but monthly, you're going to accelerate your results faster. I am certain of it. And if you have any challenges or you have questions about any of that, pop into my DMs. I'm very active in the DMs and supporting new people to my world. I want to welcome you here. If you're looking for more information on this, go subscribe to Courageous and Free with Jacquelyn Mack over on all the podcast players. Leave a review. I'd love to know how this impacted you. Share with me, what are you going to apply today? What's the one thing you're going to take home and share with a loved one, a coworker, and tell me how it works, how it didn't. And maybe it caused a challenge. Maybe it caused some oomph in your life. That's good. Because when we learn to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, we get to grow. And what we aren't changing, we are choosing. So with that, I'm going to leave you with so much love, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now.